WWE Executive Chairman Vince McMahon has reportedly been overruled and his WWE power has been marginalized by TKO CEO Ari Emanuel. Details on what this means for McMahon, what it means for Triple H, what it also means for creative within WWE as well. Jim Cornette has had his say on Tony Khan's social media activity over the past 7 days. Tony Schiavone was the lead play-by-play announcer for AEW Collision on Saturday. We got details as to why that was the case. John Moxley's return match for New Japan Pro Wrestling has been confirmed for next month, despite his current concussion issues. A title match has been added to AEW's next Battle of the Bouts presentation, and an update on AEW Fight Forever, with work not being completed just yet on the AEW video game. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. And let's start off talking about TKO and the influence on WWE, particularly the creative issues right now in WWE, the creative power between Triple H and Vince McMahon, and Ari Emanuel's influence on McMahon's power within the company. This is absolutely fascinating stuff because following news of Endeavor CEO Ari Emanuel reportedly granting Paul Levesque, Triple H, full creative control of WWE's product, rather than Vince McMahon, a new report has now cast further light on McMahon's current power within the company. While Levesque has served as WWE's chief content officer since McMahon's retirement, and I use that in those quotation marks, in July 2022, upon McMahon's return to WWE at the beginning of the year, it had been reported that the 78-year-old once again had final say on the company's creative product. This led to reports of McMahon making script changes, most notably the Raw after WrestleMania 39. However, in recent months, there has been far less news of similar occurrences happening, something evident by WWE's product, which has an undoubted Triple H feel to it. Just as it seemed like we were starting to happen again, though, it appears the last couple of weeks have been a different story. Following the latest report on Emanuel granting Triple H, quote, full influence over WWE's product, Dave Meltzer has discussed the situation on the latest Wrestling Observer Radio, discussing how Emanuel's stance has seemingly changed on McMahon's power recently. This is what Meltzer had to say on the matter. He said, quote, well, he's out of creative. It's a big story because Ari Emanuel, when they were on the verge of closing the deal and had actually closed the deal in April, did media rounds and said Vince will be in charge of the company. And if me and Vince have a disagreement, it goes the way of Vince wants because Vince is the guy. So then the deal went through. It only really went through about a month ago, and already Vince is out of creative because of Ari Emanuel. He continued by saying, quote, so this is a real interesting thing because it is the first time. Vince is now in the position that his father was in '84 when his father had run the company for years and years and years, and then he was just an employee of Vince Jr. Finally, he said, although he hates that term, Vincent Kennedy McMahon was the guy making all the decisions. And now, Vince was in fact overruled, even though when he merged the company, he was told this would not happen. It did happen, and it's a really interesting thing. And that statement when Ari was talking about the reasons the stock is down, and he mentioned Vince's name. Now, obviously, many people are talking about this. We did several stories about it over the last week or so regarding Vince McMahon's power, or maybe lack thereof, when it comes to creative right now in WWE. Triple H's latest shakeup to the WWE on-screen product was by separating the control of Raw and SmackDown to two separate general managers for the first time in years. This saw former NWA and Impact World Champion Nick Aldis be appointed as the general manager of SmackDown, while Adam Pearce takes on the same role for Monday Night Raw. So what are your thoughts on what Dave Meltzer is saying there about the power of Vince McMahon in WWE, suggesting that even though he was told that he wasn't going to be overruled 1 month into the TKO era, and he's already been overruled by Ari Emanuel, granting full creative power to Triple H. What do you think Vince McMahon's reaction to this is going to be, and what do you think it means for Vince McMahon's mindset going forward? He wanted to put his TKO stock up for sale. Could he cash out? Or, like McMahon did in the past, will he find a way to get back into full creative control within the WWE? Let me know your thoughts about that. Now, a big story over the last 7 days was Tony Khan's activity on social media, and led to a lot of people talking about whether this behavior was appropriate for the AEW president and CEO. Jim Cornette has spoken at length about AEW CEO Tony Khan's headline-grabbing social media activity last week, before and after AEW Dynamite's head-to-head battle with NXT on October 10. Both before and after the shows aired against each other, Khan was seemingly barely able to pull himself from Twitter, causing a stir, particularly with his tweets aimed at WWE. This has ranged from firing shots at Triple H and Shawn Michaels to Vince McMahon's legal troubles and even John Cena and The Undertaker's impact on the NXT viewership, which was handily more than AEW Dynamite by over 300,000 viewers. WWE reportedly saw Tony Khan's Twitter activity as a declaration of war, according to Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer newsletter, while Khan more recently even brought up WWE's alleged contract tampering of AEW talents in a post reflecting on his mother's health scare a year prior. Reflecting on all this chaos was Jim Cornette, who spoke at length on Khan's tirade on Jim Cornette's drive-thru. Here's what Cornette had to say about Tony Khan. He said, quote, "He's on Cage Match and he's on Twitter. He just fired his biggest star, but he's got another one to replace him, Edge, and he's about to make his TV debut on a show that's going to get its effing ass kicked in the goddamn ratings, and he's got time to do this." Cornette also mentioned that Khan has yet to publicly acknowledge the controversy surrounding the Juice Robinson MJF segment on Dynamite, adding, quote, the day after the show, has he addressed making mainstream news outlets for being anti-Semitic in the middle of a horrendous war where people have been butchered? Did he bring that up when he was fighting about numbers on Twitter? On Khan's tweet about alleged WWE contract tampering while his mother was in the hospital, Cornette said the following, quote, "Okay, it may be relevant because it happened 1 year ago today, but it also happens to be right after everybody on Twitter, including some people who used to support all of Tony's endeavors, have blistered him for acting like an effing 12-year-old on Twitter, arguing with people and trying to salvage a victory somehow like, well, it's the first time they ever beat us by this little kind of logic." He then followed up by saying, and so now he's saying, well, it's personal because of what they did to me while my mother was sick. We're glad that his mum got well. We don't want his mother to be sick. But if that's the only thing that made his business personal, maybe the problem is it's never been a business. It's been personal, but not personal grudge. He wants people to personally like him. And when they don't, and when he loses control of shit, and when they wipe their feet on him, or when somebody knocks what he thinks does well, he melts down because he's not used to that, because everybody has humoured him because he owned everything. All of the horrible things that are said by all of these people, whether real or imagined people on Twitter, if you let that get to you, you're effed anyway, because that's what people do on the effing thing. He should take his business personally, but not to the point where he's just effing bubbling over at avatar fan accounts. Just try and do a better product and a better show and beat the other guy instead of arguing with some of these people might not be real people, and he's arguing with them. He concluded by saying, quote, "I can tell you with some level of certainty from having experienced it, when you've got all kinds of stress and a lot of shit pissing you off, sometimes it's one of the most minor little things that sends you bubbling right over the top of pissed off hill into violence valley. And then you either, since Tony's not a violent person, you either lash out with a baseball bat or you get on Twitter, I guess. But it could be a little thing on top of a whole mounting of bigger things, but he may need rest, confinement, treatment, counseling, chemicals, some of these things." So, what do you think about Jim Cornette's comments? Is he right with what he's saying? Of course, Cornette has been a critic of AEW and Tony Khan in the past, but he does have experience in running a pro wrestling company. So, do you think Jim Cornette, what he said there about Tony Khan has merit, or do you think it's Cornette being Cornette? Let me know your thoughts about it, as always, in the comments section below. Now, Tony Schiavone was the lead play-by-play guy for AEW Collision this past weekend, and an update has been provided on Tony Schiavone joining the broadcast commentary team for this week's episode. On the October 14 edition of AEW Collision, many fans noticed a big change to the commentary team when Tony Schiavone joined Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness on call for most of the show. Jim Ross would later replace Kelly for the call of the Christian Cage vs. Bryan Danielson TNT Championship main event. According to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer Daily Update, AEW President Tony Khan made the call to have Schiavone be the lead announcer for this past weekend show. It's not been confirmed yet if this will be a permanent change for the show moving forward as of yet. Kevin Kelly joined the AEW Collision commentary team prior to the premiere of the show. He spent the previous 9 years as the lead announcer for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Of course, if we get any more updates on that in the future, we'll let you know. Now, speaking of New Japan, Jon Moxley, his next appearance for the company has been announced despite his current injury issues that he's facing at the moment. The return match in New Japan Pro Wrestling for former three-time AEW World Champion Jon Moxley has been announced. At this past weekend's New Japan Royal Quest 3 event in London, Will Ospreay retained his IWGP United Kingdom Championship in the main event against Zack Sabre Jr. After the match, Ospreay took to the mic to call out anyone from Japan for a match against him for the title. Shota Umino answered the challenge, where he challenged Ospreay to bring both his United Kingdom Championship and the IWGP United States Championship to Power Struggle in Osaka on November 4 for a title shot. Ospreay accepted Shota's challenge on the condition that Shota's mentor Jon Moxley makes his return to New Japan for the show and faces fellow United Empire member Great-O-Khan. Of course, Moxley is currently out of action with a concussion, with his planned International Championship rematch with Rey Fenix being pulled from last week's AEW Dynamite title Tuesday. The assumption would be that he would be ready in time for the event in a month's time. Of course, if this changes, we'll let you know in the future. Now, a title match has been added to Battle of the Bouts. The first title match for AEW Battle of the Bouts 8 has been announced, with the AEW Trios Championship set to be defended next Saturday. At the October 21st show, Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, and Daddy-Ass Billy Gunn will defend their gold against Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, and Daniel Garcia. This bout was announced following a confrontation between the two teams on this past week's edition of AEW Collision. Despite the relationships between Menard, Parker, and Garcia appearing rocky in recent weeks, the trio approached the current AEW Trios champions on the show to issue a challenge for the title. While it was initially indicated that the title match would take place on Collision, AEW later confirmed with a graphic that the bout will take place on the Battle of the Bouts special. Battle of the Bouts 8 will air immediately following next Saturday's edition of AEW Collision. Of course, if any more matches are announced, we'll let you know in future videos. Finally, an update on AEW Fight Forever. Many people say they're not playing the game as much anymore. Nevertheless, work isn't done on AEW Fight Forever just yet. Of course, AEW Fight Forever released earlier this year with some fanfare, some decent reviews, some sales success. There have been questions from the audience and people that have played the game about the future of the game, as once upon a time it was planned to be a single release with constant updates, despite the fact there haven't been really that many updates on there. With AEW stepping off the gas pedal a bit on that claim, a release date neared. Those that Fightful have spoken to on Fightful Select, that being Sean Ross Sapp, said that the game hasn't been much of a topic of conversation after the first month or so, but there was a heavy internal push to promote the game, especially at talent meetings immediately following the release. However, it doesn't appear that work is done on the game just yet. Fightful has been told that over the last few weeks, there have been scans done from new talent with plans to add them into the game. Of course, if we get any more updates on Fight Forever, we'll let you know. We have been playing it a little bit here on the channel, but with no real new updates, there's nothing really new to do on the game. What have you made of Fight Forever, and are you even playing it at this point? But there you go, guys. This latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.